We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
From 61. And he has done it again! And the Vikings do it again!
Cincinnati 16.
Year long, and a new Christmas hero in Minneapolis, Greg Joseph.
Can you believe that kick? 61 yards.
Wins in year number 1 under Kevin O'Connell, and for yet another week, the Giants are denied a spot in the playoffs. They're still in it, but Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins, and Greg Joseph win the day yet again in dramatic fashion.
Whew. Welcome everybody to episode 91 of Vikings Uncensored. Still coming in off of that Christmas miracle. We had Greg Joseph nailing a not only personal record, but team record 61-yard field goal as time expired to lead the Vikings to a victory over the Giants on Christmas Eve. We'll get into the recap of that here in just a little bit.
Did you see the video of the Giants fan that went fucking nuts after they lost the game?
No, not happening. Not happening. Let's go. Come on, overtime. Believe in it. 24-24. Block it. Block it. Block it, baby. Let's go. Oh. No. Nope. Nope. No! Fuck! Fuck off! You gotta be fucking kidding me, man! Everything happened today except for you! You piece of shit! Everything you needed to happen! You don't fucking deserve this shit! Cocksucking son of a bitch, man! Every little fucking turnover! This does not even deserve to happen! Oh my fucking god, dude!
Can you believe that?
Yeah, it needed a fucking miracle. Because you're not good enough to take it in your hands! Fuck Christmas!
Man, it's funny.
Like Packers vent line.
This was like...
Incidentally, of course, this being rivalry Packers week, we'll get into the Packers game also later on. But there's actually quite a bit of news going on this week, so we're going to hit that first, and then we'll kind of roll into the rest of the stuff. But one thing first we want to hit on, since it happened after we recorded last week, we want to extend our condolences to the Franco Harris family. We lost an NFL legend late last week. He was only 72 years old.
Very unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, they were planning on doing that whole 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception stuff last weekend, and he passed away 2 days before the game. So I know they talked, or Terry Bradshaw had talked on the Fox pregame show that him and his wife had just had dinner with Franco and his wife like 3 days before, and everything seemed fine and everything like that.
Right.
He was just like he always was, and then all of a sudden he's gone. So, but just wanted to offer up our condolences since we missed it last week. But again, a lot of NFL news, some big stuff coming out this week. We can honestly say we dodged a huge bullet. I
was never a proponent of this guy anyways to begin with.
I mean,
you were on the wall. You were on the fence.
I was on the fence with it because the Vikings apparently he interviewed really well with everybody he interviewed with, but it came out on Monday that the Broncos have fired first-year head coach Nathaniel Hackett.
Fired. I beg your pardon? Fired. But I...
Number of things go into this, though. I mean, you can't put it all on Hackett. I mean, with the way Russell Wilson is playing and just the circus that Denver seems to be running right now down there.
Yeah, but from all accounts I've been hearing, Hackett had completely lost the team. He had no control over anybody. His time management and all this stuff was just terrible. I mean, they hired a time management coach partway into the season because his time management was so bad. And now that time management coach is actually their interim head coach for the rest of the year here. So
we dodged a bullet on that one.
Yeah, big time.
We're dodging lots of bullets this year.
Yeah.
Fucking Neo from the Matrix.
Mr. Anderson.
Right.
Anyway.
Follow the white rabbit.
No, but
in his computer, it says follow the white rabbit.
Yes, I know.
Okay. the lady has a white rabbit tattoo, bro.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, speaking of rabbits, we're getting down a damn rabbit hole, so let's get back onto it here. Of course, in that Christmas Day meltdown in Miami, Tua Tagovailoa suffered his third concussion and apparently played the entire second half with that concussion. Miami said they didn't know when he suffered it but there was somebody went back and watched the tape, and they figured it was late in the first half. That one hit he took when he went down is probably where he got it. So he played the entire second half, which maybe would explain why he played so piss poor that second half and, was handing out interceptions like Santa Claus with gifts on Christmas morning. But
yeah, rough, dude.
Yeah.
I remember hearing stories from Favre about how he would throw touchdown passes and he wouldn't even remember throwing them.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy, but anyways, yeah, I feel bad, but
yeah, and I know that Coach Mike McDaniel's come out and said now that Tua's out indefinitely. He said straight out, he said he's got to worry about his health before we worry about getting back on the field. So
that's crazy, man.
So
that's 3 concussions in a month.
So our old buddy Teddy Bridgewater will be the starting quarterback down there until further notice, which the way things are going might be 2 more games because they're
playing their way out of the playoffs.
Yeah. Then other quarterback news came out on Wednesday that the Raiders have benched Derek Carr for the rest of the season in favor of Jarrett Stidham.
Another situation kind of like New York with the Wilson situation.
At
this point, both parties just need to move on.
Carr is leading the league in interceptions this year and has not played well as of recently, especially having, like Devontae Adams there as his main weapon. Of course, I think a lot of the problems in Las Vegas fall back on Josh McDaniels being the head coach there.
Yeah, but with that contract, it's kind of hard. You got to pick one or the other. And at this point, you can't really afford to just cut bait with McDaniels. So
I mean, I've made my opinions of Josh McDaniels known.
yeah, well, I think everybody kind of sits on the same.
You know, I would have never
That is-
hired him in the first place, but Mark Davis is a moron. So,
You know, somebody's got to take the fall, and right at this point, I think just Carr's the fall guy, really. Yes, he has thrown a lot of picks this year. But what has he done, really, honestly?
Yeah.
So
nothing. But anyway, then moving on to some Vikings news. Came out earlier in the week that defensive lineman James Lynch will be out for the remainder of the regular season with a shoulder injury. Timetable, they figure, is about 2 weeks. So odds are he will be ready to go, hopefully by the wild card round. I guess we'll see what happens there, but
right,
look for a lot more Kiris Tonga.
which is okay.
Yeah, because he's been playing
lights out.
He's
in
been
his
playing
snaps.
pretty well in his opportunities so far. So then also on Wednesday, running back Ty Chandler was officially activated from injured reserve. This was the last day that they had to activate him, or else he would have reverted back to IR for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have been eligible to return at all for the rest of the
Right.
year.
Yep. Now, the Vikings only had 52 on the roster, so we didn't have to make any corresponding roster moves to get him back on the active. So I guess look for him maybe to get some special teams work and stuff here coming up in the next game or so. Might get some additional playing time if we start resting some of the starters and things like that too. But then also on Wednesday, tight end Irv Smith Jr. was designated to return from injured reserve, which puts him on the 21-day clock to either come back or be done for the year. So we'll see what happens there.
I think the coaching staff, the coaching staff has really been waiting for this to happen. And I mean, for the fans to know, they've been waiting as well for this to happen too. It's going to be interesting seeing Hawk and Peanut Smith on the field at the same time.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't run a ton of the two tight end sets, that especially two receiving tight ends. So I don't know how much Irv is going to play a role. I mean, there'll be some sub package.
Irv's a decent blocker though at times. I mean, he's not the
Yeah.
greatest blocker, but he can do it.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
see Smith playing a big role the rest of the year, but might get a few shots here and there and hopefully makes the most of it because.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we'll see.
Yep. Then other news on Wednesday, Kirk Cousins was named the 2023 Bart Starr Award winner. The award is given to the player that best exemplifies character and leadership at home, on the field, and in the community.
This speaks a lot of how far Kirk has come, and just behind the tutelage of Kevin O'Connell and staff.
Absolutely. Now, he is the third Viking player to ever win this award. Former winners are Warren Moon and Chris Carter. So big congratulations to Kirk on that
Yeah, it's
award.
been since '95 since the Minnesota Vikings won this award.
Yeah, I think it was 90. I think Moon won at 93 and
Carter 95.
So
I'm happy for Kirk, and
yeah, absolutely.
and I'm happy with where he's at with this organization at this point in time.
Absolutely. But with that, we'll roll in and do a quick recap of the Giants game here. Don't want to dive into it too deep because we've got a bunch of other stuff we want to talk about yet this week. So we'll just kind of hit the high points. Of course, Justin Jefferson set not only the single season receiving yards record, passing Randy Moss, he also set the single season receptions record, passing Chris Carter. He now sits with 123 receptions with 2 games to go. Carter had the record at 122. So interesting.
He could possibly break the single season record receptions in the season by Michael Thomas as well. But that would be asking a lot in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, because I think he's 26 short of that, so he'd have to have a couple of huge games and
receptions in the next 2 games.
I don't see that happening, but the receiving yards record that Calvin Johnson is holding is definitely in play. I think he has to have, was it 209 yards, I think, to catch him?
209 for Johnson or 206 for Johnson, and 244 I know for the 2000. Yep, or the 2K.
Yep. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks there on that. But interesting stat on Jefferson I saw here today when I was doing show prep. In his career, he has played in 48 games. Take a wild guess on how many of those 48 games he has 100 yards or more in.
I think I heard this. I want to say, but only because I know this, because I do a lot of research. I'd say half of those games he's gotten
exactly half. 24 of the 48 games he has played in, he's had at least 100 yards receiving. That's nuts. That's pretty freaking impressive.
And you know what? The fact that this dude didn't really catch his stride until week 4 of his rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, he started week 3 that year, but he really didn't. I mean, and Zim didn't let him really take off. Like, no. Offensive-minded coach probably would have let him.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, it's just this dude's a freak.
Yep. Then, of course, game-wise, Kirk, another very solid day, 34 of 48, 299 yards, 3 touchdowns, quarterback rating of 107.9.
Started out slow, in my opinion.
He did. Had a couple of bad throws that would have been intercepted that got called back on penalties, thankfully.
One got called back off a challenge.
Yeah,
a Booth review.
Yeah, because Thielen knocked it out when it and then
hit the ground.
Yeah, and then the second one was that pass interference on that they called on that.
Well, whatever. Either way.
But yeah. Regardless, we kind of lucked out a little bit on that. He was sacked 4 times.
We gotta put he's been hit more than any quarterback since 2000 in 15 weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm. Now, you and I were talking about this during the game. Some of those hits and sacks it seemed like he was holding the ball a little too long this week.
He tends to drift into a sack.
He was standing there, doing that pat the ball, whack, he gets hit, kind of thing. But
as long as he's not fumbling that shit, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But it's still at situational football, man. You get sacked, and the last thing you want to do is get a sack. It happened once or twice last game.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing that, we talked about this too, that we maybe, if the offensive line is going to start leaking like it is again, we maybe need to start looking into more some 3-step drop, hit it, boom, out, kind of
Or some
stuff.
of those double tight end sets that we were just talking about.
Oh, there's that too, yeah. But you got to have tight ends that can block in order to do that. Hawkinson's not a great blocker.
Munt's a pretty good blocker.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
I seen Munt take out a defensive end this last weekend. That shit was nuts.
He did.
Pancaked his ass.
Yeah. I guess other high points.
I seen that, Johnny.
Other high points, of course, we talked about Jefferson, 12 catches, 133 yards and a touchdown. TJ Hawkinson.
Man,
another Vikings record, 13 receptions for 109 yards and then 2 touchdowns. And that
targeted 16 times.
And that second touchdown was a beauty. He went up over the top of the 2 defenders and grabbed that ball. And
here comes a blitz by the Giants. Cousins to the end zone for Hawkinson. What a catch! Vikings lead on an incredible grab by the Pro Bowler.
I believe when he first got here, it's like when you first meet somebody that you want to be friends with and you're not sure how you want to act or how it's just kind of awkward at first when you meet like a new friend. I think it's kind of how it was when TJ first came here, and now he's starting to kind of feel comfortable in this offense and with the teammates. So he's starting to make a lot more plays. Not that he wasn't making plays before, but now he's starting to make top 3 tight end type of plays.
Yeah.
The dude's a great player.
Absolutely. Definitely.
And people that didn't have a history with him before are should be starting to see that now.
Yeah. And that move by Kwesi to trade for him at the trading deadline was absolutely brilliant. That's one of the better moves that the Vikings have made.
Chris Herndon, dude.
Besides Chris Herndon, yes.
Yeah, right. Can't forget about Chris Herndon.
No, can't do that. Anyway, we'll roll over to the defense here quick. Danielle Hunter, continuing his hot streak as of late, had 2 sacks, 7 tackles, 5 pressures, and 4 quarterback hits with a PFF ranking of 91.8.
Word on the street is that he's back. You know, that he's back. He's fully at 110%. The dude is getting comfortable in the new scheme of things.
But I think even more critical is that over the last 2 to 3 weeks, Donatel is using him the way he should be used instead of dropping him in coverage or doing shit with him that he shouldn't be doing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, he's not a gadget player, dude. You get him in there and you send him towards the quarterback every fucking play.
Right.
And the dude's got such long arms that he can also play the run pretty well as well. So,
but with those 2 sacks, he now has 10.5 on the season, which marks the first time since 2004 that the Vikings have had 2 players with 10 or more sacks in the season. That was in 04. It was Kevin Williams and Lance Johnstone.
Wow, man, that's throwing it back.
I think they had like 11 and 11.5 between the 2 of them. And
Johnstone coming over from the Raiders.
Yep. And now Hunter
back in the day.
Hunter has 10.5. Za'Darius has 10, and there's 2 games to go. So that total.
You call 15. You call 15 apiece.
Yep, I did, and I think they're going to come a little short of that, but we'll see what happens.
I don't know, man. Za'Darius is playing Aaron this weekend.
Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me a bit to see Za'Darius get a couple of sacks this week.
Strip sack would be phenomenal for both of them.
Yeah. But beyond the Hunters' 2 sacks, Kiris Tonga and DJ Wanham each had half a sack. Za'Darius had 3 hits. That 1 sack, I think it was one of the ones Hunter was credited with. Patrick Peterson came on a rare blitz off the edge and hit Daniel.
He wanted it, but we got to him regardless.
Yeah, he
that was right after that play that he fucked up.
Yep. I think that he was pissed and came in and with a little bit of fire under his pants on that one, but
let me blitz this next fucking play.
Yep. But of course, speaking of Pat Peterson, had a little bit of a rough start.
He did.
He got burned quite a bit early on, but then
Hodgins was having his way with it, man.
But then had that hit that forced the sack, and then a very timely interception.
Deep drop again. Jones downfield and picked off. Patrick Peterson was waiting for his moment against Hodgins. This time he got the best of him and the best of Jones.
The pick was pretty sweet, man.
It was his 4th pick of the year, which
is 3 more than he had last year. And the last year, the only one he had was at the end of the year.
Right. And I can't remember the last time a cornerback had 4 interceptions under Mike Zimmer. I didn't seem like so.
Right. The quarterback whisperer.
Yes. Then Brian Asamoah saw considerable playing time this week.
Took advantage of it too.
First half, a couple of series there, he played 1 entire series for Kendricks, 1 entire series for Hicks. He did get torched on 1 pass play, but with his speed made it up and was able to not only force a fumble, but also recover it and take it back a ways.
His coverage actually got better as the game went on.
It did. And it's going to come with time. His coverage was always the little bit of the issue, the knock on him coming in out of college.
He's got good speed though, and he's got good length. He can do sideline to sideline.
Yep. So he can the speed he can make up for some of that shortcomings while he's learning how to not have those shortcomings.
And it's nice to see him not give up on a play.
Mm-hmm.
Went in there and made a play after the fact.
Absolutely he did. Then other than that, the other big play we had, aside from Joseph nailing that 61-yarder as time expired, Josh Metellus with a key punt block also.
It's blocked. Picked up by the Giants, by Julian Love, but Minnesota with a block. It's Josh Metellus, their special teams ace, coming up with a big.
That was very timely and very well done there as well.
It came at a good time. That's for damn sure.
Absolutely it did.
Yes, it did.
So with that kind of an abbreviated Giants recap, anything else you want to hit before we move on?
I could say one thing. This defense is consistent with giving up a lot of yards.
Yeah, it was 440
I think
some yards.
we've given up career days to like quarterbacks 3 times this year. I don't know, but I mean, yes, we are the definition of bend but don't break, but very opportunistic at the same time. You know what? I'll give up a field goal over a touchdown any day of the week if it comes down to it. And then with the offense that we have, like I said, we should be scoring points every drive. So, I mean, it's not the best way to scheme things up, but it's working.
Well, it's working in spite of it, I think, more than anything a lot of times. But
I think there's a lot more that's going into this game plan than what a lot of this media knows and what we as day-to-day fans know as well.
Well, some of the stuff with the defense the last couple of weeks, O'Connell actually had a meeting with Donatel and said, if I was calling the offense against your defense, this is how I would attack you.
Great way to handle adversity as well, O'Connell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of fucking going into the media and subliminally trying to take swipes at your coordinators or players. Yeah, Zimmer. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, we'll move on here to finish off the last week in review with our weekly awards segment. Again, we always look at the good and the not so good. Starting off with the good and what we call our Badass of the Week award.
Who is that guy? Whoever he is one tough badass.
Who do you got for that, Lance?
A lot of deserving players this week. I mean, Hawkinson, you know, I'm not taking Hawkinson, but he was one that could easily have deserved this award this week. The one catch he made over the 2 defenders when he just snatched it away and basically lost them.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love the CPR celebration by Osborne. Good way to think on the fly and go over there and pump him back to life.
Mm-hmm.
But for real though, I mean, and Jefferson, you know, coming in every week, continuing to be consistent, you know, the epitome of what a consistent player is.
Right.
And then staying healthy and just being a great player. But with that being said, my badasses of the week this week are special teamers Greg Joseph and Josh Metellus. 2 biggest plays of the game. 2 biggest plays of the game at critical moments, obviously. Josh Metellus, without that blocked punt, you know, who knows what would have happened. But we were able to take advantage of that and get points off of that. And then with Greg Joseph coming in at the end of the game there and booting through a 61-yard field goal to set a franchise record, it was an easy decision this week. I mean,
yeah. At
the end of the day, I mean, it was a hard decision because there's a lot of deserving candidates, but I had to give it to those 2 guys.
And the thing, I'm going to give it to Greg Joseph as well. We've been real hard on Joseph a lot this year with good reason, but credit to the team for sticking with him. Credit to Joseph. He's turned it around the last few weeks. that 61 yarder would have been probably good from 65. He had it.
I would say 63 or 64.
He had at least 2 to 3 extra yards on that thing when it went through. And with that kick, also won Special Teams Player of the Week award for the NFC. So I'm going to give Joseph the award as well. He deserves it. Absolutely cold-blooded kill with that kick at the end.
Great confidence booster, man, just for him and for the fan base as well. And just for everybody in general.
Absolutely. But then again, when we celebrate the good, we also celebrate the not so good with what we call our Red Foreman Award of the Week.
Son, you don't have bad luck. The reason that bad things happen to you is because you're a dumbass.
So who you got there, Lance?
This is a little bit tougher to decide who I should go with this week. You had P2 came out a little bit slow, but then he went on to the game and he went and redeemed himself with the assist on the sack and then with the pick at the end of the game or towards the end of the game there. Mm-hmm. So he fought his way. He fought just like anybody else on the team. I'm gonna have to go with Donatel again. I know it's almost getting to be an easy shot, and he didn't give up a lot of points this week. He gave up more than you would hope to give up. But the yards thing, man, at some point you can't give up that many yards.
We can't do that in the playoffs, or we're not going very far.
I'm not going to sit here and say you can't do something because that's not true. Who's to say that they can't figure out? With the way this year's been going, nobody's a prophet. But it's not a good recipe for success, that's for sure.
Exactly. We'll go with it that way. I guess for me, I was kind of thinking that way too, but since you went that way, I'm going to go with that interior offensive line, specifically Austin Schlottman.
There you go.
He's not been playing.
Ingram had a good game.
Ingram is playing considerably better.
He's gotten better, yes.
But Schlottman is right now the weak link, and I never thought I would ever hear myself say the words, "We need Garrett Bradbury back." But and we'll talk about this here in a little bit. But if Bradbury can't play this week, and you got Schlottman going against Kenny Clark, that worries me.
Well, I think they're just taking their time. They want Bradbury to come back at 100%, and I think. The first 2 weeks with Schlottman, that was okay. But now it's getting to the point where you want to see Bradbury get back into the lineup.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good choice. That was good. That's a good call there for sure.
Yeah. All right. So with that, we're going to roll into another one of our classic beer commercials. So head on over to the fridge, grab yourself a cold one, crack it open, check this out, and we'll be back in a minute.
Black Label beer. It's the premium brew at the popular price. Enjoy the best. Take our advice. Get Carling's Black Label. Carling's Black Label beer. Mabel, Black Label. Mabel, Black Label. Mabel.
All right, we are back, and now we look ahead to rivalry week. Once again, as the Minnesota Vikings take a tour over to Cheeseland to face that hated team from Wisconsin, the Drunken Scotties of Green Bay.
Scotties, that's fucking awesome. Funny. Wisconsinites.
Green Bay has come on as of late. Granted, playing against lesser opponents, but they have won 3 straight. So, of course, the collective national media is creaming their shorts because they of the verbal fellatio that they have been performing on Aaron Rodgers again the last couple of weeks, which is sickening as hell.
They are who they are. They are not starting to click. They aren't finding it out.
No, they hit
the Green Bay Packers.
And they hit the cream puffs part of their schedule and snuck out a game against a quarterback who has been concussed more times than a heavyweight boxer in a championship match. So
nobody should be afraid of the Green Bay Packers right now. Nobody should be afraid. I don't care who their quarterback is. This team isn't coming around with 2 weeks to go in the season. That's the way the media wants to play it out, to be Green Bay just won 3 of their last games.
Right. So what we need to do this week is go into Green Bay,
put out their fire.
We beat them this week, and their playoff hopes are pretty much done.
They're done. No, if we beat them this week, that's it. I believe if we beat them this week.
I think there is still mathematically a chance for him to get in, but for all intents and purposes, we can drive the stake through the heart of their playoff chances, and we need to do that this week.
Yes, we do.
Few quick notes here. Kirk Cousins now 5th in the league in passing yards at 41-17.
That's crazy because just a few weeks ago, he wasn't even in the top 10.
No. And he's also 4th now in touchdowns with 27.
Started out slow in the season too.
Well, but as we talked about earlier, I think that addition of TJ Hawkinson, it's definitely opened up things for Justin Jefferson to get more touchdown catches. And, it's opening everything up for Jefferson because Hawkinson is taking up the underneath stuff and allowing Jefferson to,
Cousins is making a lot of cold-blooded throws too, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you get into late third and fourth quarters.
Yes.
As we mentioned earlier, Jefferson leading the league in receptions with 123 and yards, 1756. He needs 209 to pass Calvin Johnson for the NFL record. Definitely doable over the next 2 weeks, I think. We'll see playing outdoors. We kind of mentioned this last week. The elements could play a factor. Now it's supposed to be decent in Green Bay. I think this weekend's supposed to be about 30 degrees. So
mid 30s, I heard. Light wind. So I mean,
so the cold.
Kirk plays good against Green Bay for the most part.
He usually does, yeah. Couple of key things. We just kind of mentioned this before the break. Garrett Bradbury, still no word on him. As of Wednesday, he did not practice, so I am a little concerned he's not going to play this week again. Which, there we mentioned him Austin Schlottman having to go up against Kenny Clark this weekend. That worries me. Cam Dantzler, I didn't hear if he practiced on Wednesday or not.
He did.
He did practice.
He's a full participant. And who else was it? Somebody. God damn it!
Harry was battling a little bit last week. I don't know if he was on the injury report this week or not.
Okay, so Dantzler, and then who else was it that was limited this week?
It doesn't matter. It's Wednesday when we're recording here. Things will change by Friday, but something to keep an eye on, I guess. Anyway,
it'll come back to me now, and I'll have to shout it out.
But over on the Packers side of things, they've got quite a few big name guys that are listed as questionable as of Wednesday. Anyway, running back Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon as well. Both the running backs are nicked up now.
Yep.
Jones got hurt during the Miami game and was able to continue to play, so I expect to see him play. All 3 of their wide receivers are dinged up. Christian Watson dealing with a hip deal. He says he'll be fine to play. He was limited on Wednesday, I believe. Alan Lazard also was listed as questionable, but I expect to see him play. And Romeo Dobbs, same thing.
Right.
So they're not exactly healthy over there.
Ezra. Was limited in
Oh, was he
practice on
limited?
Wednesday.
Yeah, we kind of need him. So
Right. Yeah, but I knew it was kind of important, so that's why I went and looked really quick. And yeah, Ezra was limited on Wednesday.
okay.
Shoulder.
Yeah, he got dinged up a little bit. I remember in that.
Yep.
Of course, looking over, that front seven of Green Bay has been playing pretty well. Preston Smith has 8.5 sacks this year, so he's their big sack guy. Kenny Clark up front, like we mentioned, he gives us fits all the time.
He's kind of quiet week 1.
Yeah, Bradbury did a pretty decent job on him week 1. I think
it was more so Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary week 1, but Gary's out for the season.
Gary's
now,
out. Yep. So that's
we'll see what happens.
Yep.
Campbell's coming around for Green Bay too recently.
Devondre Campbell. Yep. Now
how they choose to cover Jefferson's going to be interesting.
Yep. No, while we're still on their defensive line, a big one here, defensive lineman Dean Lowry out for the rest of the year. Now they put him on injured reserve. He had played in 101 consecutive games.
Right.
So that's kind of a blow for him. Now, what's his name? Wyatt, the rookie, will be starting now in his place. He hasn't really. The DeAndre Wyatt is.
Yeah.
He had a lot of hoopla and stuff coming around in the draft. I know I was kind of a fan of him, wouldn't have minded getting him in here, but he really hasn't shown a whole lot so far this year. So hopefully
he doesn't show much.
Hopefully we can have one of those welcome to the NFL rookie moments and exploit that position, because Lowry always has played pretty well against us.
Yeah.
So him being out, I think, is a key blow. David Bakhtiari on their offensive line, of course, still is question. He's been questionable all year. I expect to see him play, but
he hasn't played a snap in a long time though either. He
hasn't practiced. He's been in and out playing, but
okay.
Then also their right tackle, Yash Nyman, he's dinged up as well. So their offensive line
is still dinged up too a little bit, but
who's that?
Elgin Jenkins.
Yeah. So I think we can make some hay against their offensive line.
Well, we made some hay against them week 1 when that line was all supposedly 100% healed, or 100%, and we went and we got ours on week 1.
Yeah.
So
now their back end also, they've got some quality players back there. Now week 1 we did a damn good job against them. Jair Alexandria, Adrian Amos, and Darnell Savage being their 3 big guys back there. They've been exploited as of late, until Tua couldn't tell the difference between a teal jersey and a white jersey. He, they were picking him apart pretty good. I think they can be schemed around now, and we'll hit this in the tail of the tape. I mean, Green Bay's pass defense is very good, but they're also not being passed on very much because their run defense is so bad. So
they can get burnt though too in the deep pass.
They can, and I think we did that in the first game, to open the season, and Kevin O'Connell's play calling and scheming has evolved quite a bit since then. So I think there's plenty of opportunities there. And Justin Jefferson has proved it doesn't matter how good the defense is, we can make hay against.
He beat that double team last week against the Giants for that second touchdown that he had. Was a route that should not have beat that defense that was called.
Well, look at that final drive that got us into position for Joseph hit that field goal too. I mean, that was a Justin Jefferson drive.
That was a ballsy call by O'Connell to call the screen there at that point in the game, hoping that Jefferson would be able to make something out of it, which he did.
And then, but then get down in time to clock the ball because we didn't have any timeouts left.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll move on to the tail of the tape here. Starting on the offensive side of things, yards per game, Vikings are now up to 12th. Green Bay is 16th. Passing yards per game, the Vikings are now up to 6th. Green Bay is sitting at 17th.
I could see us getting to be I could see us be a top 5 passing offense before the season's end.
Well, we're right there, right?
Right.
As it's now. Rushing yards per game, Green Bay 14th. We are 28th. Points per game, we are 7th in points now. You know, we talked about this before. In the last few years, we've had a top 10 passing offense or offense in yards, but our points per game had not been there. We are there now. So if we can keep up the way we are, having a top 5 scoring offense is a possibility as well here. So Green Bay is 18th in points per game. Tail of the tape on the defensive side of things. Total yards per game, Green Bay 17th. Vikings sit at 31st. Passing yards per game, Green Bay is 3rd against the pass. Now, like we mentioned, teams don't throw on them a whole lot because they can run all over on them.
Mm-hmm.
Vikings are 32nd in passing yards again. Rushing yards per game, Vikings are at 19th. Green Bay is 27th. So
play action is going to be big this weekend.
We need to be able to get Dalvin rolling and rolling early. And if we can establish that running game, I think it's going to bode very well for us.
I think a lot of that has to do with the way he mixes that run game into the play calling.
Yeah.
Honestly, it really does. We can't be running every first down. And I've seen later on in that Giants game, we started to kind of get away from running it every first down and actually mixing it up a little bit there on first down.
Well, and not only just running it on first down, but don't run it up the freaking A gap behind your backup center, especially with somebody like Kenny Clark up there.
Well, and when your best offensive lineman are your tackles, why not run to the outside a little bit?
Exactly.
Let your pull your guards like you're supposed to. Yep. You know, your guards are your athletic linemen. Pull them out, man. Help the tackle get you a bust out for an outside run, stretch play, or whatever it may have you.
Yep. Then, of course, points per game. Green Bay's defense is 17th. We are 28th. So that bend but don't break defense has been cracking quite a bit, giving up way more points than we should be as well. So
giving up a lot of field goals, man, for sure.
No, we're giving up a lot of everything. If we're
better over the last 4 weeks or so, I think we haven't been giving up a lot of touchdowns, but we've been giving them up at the wrong times, and we've been giving up a lot of field goals.
No.
But either way, I mean, the stat doesn't lie. We're 28th in points given up. That says enough right there. We need to figure it out.
It's not acceptable going into the playoffs.
Right. And not making excuses. That is not acceptable.
No. And here again, now the big reason why the defense has been able to get by with that. Turnover margins, Minnesota is 5th in the league at +6. Green Bay is 15th at an even, which is surprising. Aaron Rodgers has thrown a lot more interceptions this year than he normally does.
Yeah, this is going to be his second worst year as far as interceptions go.
Yeah.
So,
and they don't create a whole lot of turnovers either. So anyway, what else do you want to see? What do you think on this game this weekend?
Just get after it, man. Same thing as week one schematically at defense, because week one, our defense was up to snuff against this Green Bay team. We looked pretty good coming out week one, although, we're two different teams now. We're 17 weeks in here, and let's get after Aaron. There's nothing I love more than seeing Aaron Rodgers frustrated and angry and pissed off and throwing tablets on the sideline and crying. But you know what? Kirk usually makes Aaron his son. And so, continue to get better. Continue to find out, find your way. Continue to utilize Neil Hunter the way you have been in the last 4 weeks of the year. Just get after it.
Yeah. Me, I kind of expect to see another big game from Zadarius Smith. I think he's going to be a little extra motivated again this week, especially going back to Green Bay. Another shout out. This guy has been playing damn good for us, Duke Shelley.
Yeah.
Even if Dantzler does come back, I'm going to say Shelley's probably going to start over him, at least right now. I mean,
I believe O'Connell was asked about that, and he said, at this point, it's kind of a toss-up. How do you take somebody out that's playing so well?
Right now they'll mix Dantzler in, with
right,
both,
rotate him
in. But I mean,
it's good to have that problem.
Yeah, you can't complain at all about the quality of play we've gotten from Duke Shelley this year.
Yeah, he's somebody you're going to want to keep around or look at keeping around.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this last week. I mean, that was another very sneaky good pickup that we got on that. Beyond that, let's just go out and put that nail in Green Bay's coffin and end the narrative for them for the year. And let's move ourselves on to another victory. Let's sweep Green Bay for the season. Let's keep pace for that number 2 seed. Number 1 seed is still not mathematically out of the picture. Jalen Hurts.
Well, no, if the Eagles
Hurts still isn't
out, it's ours.
Jalen Hurts still isn't practicing this week. Early indications are he may not play again. So if Philly loses out and we win out, we're the number 1 seed. That's all we got to do. But I still want to, we have to be more concerned, I think, with San Francisco because, we have to win one more game than San Francisco does. Otherwise, we fall to the 3 seed. Now, we can't go any further than the 3 seed, but I would prefer to have the only potential road trip that we would have to make be potentially Philly in the playoffs. So with that, like I said, let's just go get it done this week.
Yep, take care of business.
I'm not going to make a prediction because we can't predict this team. It's going to be a 1-score game. It's going to be close. Probably it's going to come down to a late play in the fourth quarter.
We beat him by 2 scores last time. Let's see if we can do it again. And like I said, Kirk usually plays pretty well against Green Bay.
Yeah.
And Dalvin does too.
Yeah. So
did I say Cook?
Yeah.
Kirk. Oh, no, I said Kirk. Kirk plays pretty well against.
You said Kirk and Dalvin.
Right. That's okay. Good. That's what I was going for.
All right.
They both usually play pretty good.
Right.
And if Cook gets going, on the ground, Green Bay is going to have a long day ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's going to establish that play action, and then that's just it. That's goodbye.
And the other key thing, we did not have Hawkinson the first game.
Exactly.
Another weapon right there in the basket that we did.
And with the way he's coming around, who's to say he won't get another 13 receptions this weekend?
It's possible.
And the Packers do not play the tight end position very well at all.
No,
so they'll be looking at Hawkinson, I believe.
I think it's Hawkinson's in for a pretty big game this week, I think, but
yeah.
But anyway, if you don't have anything more on this game, we're going to roll in and kind of do a quick recap of where the playoff picture sits right now. Start off with the NFC. Of course, the Eagles, the Vikings, the 49ers, and the Cowboys all have clinched. Number 1 seed, very simple. If the Eagles win one of their next 2, they have the 1 seed. If they lose out and the Vikings win out, we could get the 1 seed. As I mentioned, for the number 2 seed, the Vikings need to win one more game than San Francisco does in order to keep that. If the Giants win on Sunday, they secure a spot. If the Buccaneers win on Sunday, then they win the South.
Woohoo!
If the Commanders
joke in the joke conference of the league right now.
Yeah, if the Commanders win out, then they're in, and it doesn't matter what anybody else does. If the Panthers win out, they will win the South.
If the Panthers win out?
The Panthers can still win the
I did not
NFC
know
South.
they were still in it.
Steve Wilkes has got those guys playing.
Wow.
Playing tough in a shitty division, but they still have a chance.
2 claps for Carolina. Wow.
The Saints are still mathematically in it for the NFC South as well.
Yeah, right. Man, that's crazy.
Then the other teams that are alive in order of where they rank right now: Seahawks, Lions, and Packers. Ideally, we knock the Packers out this week, and we'll kind of let it roll from there.
You know what? That Commanders defense is scary good, man. If they
And Chase Young is back now, so
yep, they're not quite on the level of San Francisco, but they're pretty damn good.
yeah. But we already played them this year and we beat them, so
Yeah, not with Chase Young though.
no. But now they've got a
That's
quarterback
a whole
issue.
other beast.
Quarterback issue going on, but is it going to be Heineke? Is it going to be Wentz? We don't know. Blah blah blah.
Yep,
blah.
yep.
But anyway,
I'm just giving their defense a shout out. If it's running that full gas, full steam,
well,
it's pretty good.
We went through a 5-week stretch there where we played
You're right.
Defenses were all top 7, 8 in the league. You know,
I love how battle tested our team is, man. We shouldn't be afraid of nobody. We should be stepping into the ring with Tyson and not blinking, you know, when it comes playoff time.
Yeah. A San Francisco defense still scares me, though. I'm not going to lie.
You know what? That offense doesn't scare me at all, though.
No, but
Brock Purdy does not scare me.
no, he shouldn't scare us. But again, we've
Mr.
made it.
Irrelevant is not taking this team to the Super Bowl.
I'm not worried about taking them to the Super Bowl. I'm just worried about if we have to face, and we've had a bad habit of making Mike White's and Mac Jones's and Daniel Jones's and all those guys look pretty freaking good.
I don't know. Philadelphia scares me more than San Francisco. Although I know a lot of people right now are giving Brock Purdy a lot of buttery nut rubs and stuff like that down in San Francisco.
I'm not nut rubbing any Purdy on the offense. I mean, granted, they got McCaffrey, they've got and all that stuff on the offensive
They
side
got
of things.
some playmakers on offense, but
It's their defense that concerns me.
Like I told you earlier, if that's the case, they're going to need like a Baltimore Ravens carrying Trent Dilfer to the Super Bowl, or the Buccaneers carrying Brad Johnson to the Super Bowl. Purdy will not be the reason they make it if they get there.
Yeah,
he's gonna have his coming down to earth moment one of these weeks.
Quickly over to the AFC side of things. Only one spot left over there, I believe. The Bills, the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Chargers have all clinched. The winner of the Week 18 game between the Jaguars and the Titans will win the AFC South. The Dolphins are currently in, but the Patriots, the Jets, the Steelers, and the Raiders are all still alive for that last wild card spot. So, interesting to go over there. I don't see the Raiders making it. I don't think the Steelers are going to make it.
No.
The only one that could potentially, I mean, the Dolphins now with Teddy taking over quarterback, I think they're probably going to fall out. So I could see
so much adversity over there on the AFC side as far as the tail end of the playoff teams go.
Yep. So I think it's either going to be, I think the Dolphins are going to fall out and the Patriots might sneak their way in. So
I think the scariest team over there in the AFC is going to be Cincinnati going into the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I love me some Joe Burrow. That guy, that kid's got ice in his veins.
That offense is on the same level as our offense. We're very comparable, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, but by the end of this week, we'll probably have a pretty good idea on the playoff picture. So we'll hit it again next week. And with that, we have reached the best segment of the show once again, as we take a look at the players who have worn number 91 in this edition of Brunswick's Best. So roll that beautiful bean footage on us once again there, Lance.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Well, man, 91, it's kind of a wasteland of Vikings players. There's not really a bunch. I mean, there's a lot that have worn the number, but not a lot that have done of anything of any of, greatness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in all due respect to everybody that's worn the number for the team, but Anyways, I got one guy, and then I got an honorary mention and a couple of brief mentions.
Okay.
So we'll start off here, and the guy that I'm gonna start it off with is somebody I really was high on, and I really rooted for when he was here. None other than the Superman himself, Ray Edwards, on my list of number 91s. The Vikings drafted Ray Edwards out of Purdue in the 4th round of the 06 NFL draft. After playing sparingly in his rookie season, although when he did play, he made some splash plays. Edwards went on to start 56 out of 57 games at left defensive end for the Vikings from 07 until 2010, playing on a line that also featured Jared Allen, the Williams Wall, and which presented a great deal of opportunities for Edwards to make an impact and thrive. And he definitely took advantage of that. In his 4 seasons as a starter for the Vikings, Edwards collected 30 quarterback sacks. That was highlighted by back-to-back seasons of at least 8 sacks in 2009 and 2010. That was highlighted by a huge breakup performance in the divisional round of the 2009 playoffs, which was huge. I remember this. Mm-hmm. I feel so bad for Tony Romo that game. Well, not really.
I didn't.
Right. But so where Edwards collected 3 sacks on Tony Romo in the Vikings 34-3 rout of the Dallas Cowboys. After the 2010 season, Edwards moved on to the Atlanta Falcons and basically fell off the face of the planet. One of the big plays of mine that sticks out with Ray Edwards was the sack on Sean Hill when we played the Detroit Lions, and Edwards basically flew over his dude and like was lateral with or was like vertical or horizontal with the ground, and it's nailed Hill. It was clean, but he got called with the flag there for roughing or like unnecessary roughness or some shit. But it was a great sight, in my opinion. And in my opinion, Ray Edwards was Danielle Hunter before Danielle Hunter was here. A lot of potential.
I'm not going to go that far, but
well, I mean, he never fulfilled that, but he had a lot of potential.
Player, yeah,
right, and he had a high motor as well. He was a very high motor player. Kind of when he went to Atlanta, like I said, he kind of disappeared, but I believe he had a little bit of a Danielle Hunter to him mentality. But anyways, moving along here to my honorary mention, Stephen Weatherly. Now, Weatherly was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings in the 7th round, 227th overall in the 2016 NFL draft. He became the first Vanderbilt defensive lineman or linebacker drafted since the 2012 NFL draft, and also the second Vanderbilt alum ever drafted by the Vikings. Now, in his first stint with the Vikings, he became a fairly valuable rotational guy while also starting 7 games and recording 6 sacks, along with another sack in the postseason. Weatherly left the Vikings for the Panthers via free agency the following year, only to come back to the Vikings a year later for a pretty unremarkable return. Mm-hmm. Weatherly has bounced around the league some, but still finds himself on a roster. Weatherly is currently listed as being on the Cleveland Browns injured reserve list. Stephen Weatherly, you made the list as an honorary mention. Now I got 2 brief mentions here. Greg Minuski, who played for us from 91 to 93 and is currently sitting on our coaching staff this year.
Inside linebackers coach, yeah.
Right. And also none other than Patrick Jones II, who is on our roster this year, who I look for big things from in the future. So those are my 2 brief mentions. And with that, that concludes my list for Brunswick's Best this week.
All right. And with that, that's all we've got for this week. So again, want to thank everybody for watching. If you're out and about, make sure you're taking us with you. All your standard audio channels, YouTube, Facebook, the whole 9 yards. if you have not done so yet, please hit that red subscribe button down below. Helps us out a ton, helps us build the brand, helps us do better and bring more stuff for you guys coming down the pipe here in the future. With that, it's Green Bay week. There's nothing much else to say except let's go out and let's stomp a mud hole in Green Bay's ass and walk it dry.
It'd be nice to get a nice big spread on this points here and just blow them out of the fucking water, man.
It'd be nice, but this team, as long as we walk out of there with one more point than what Green Bay's got,
you know what? That's the way we win games. And if that's the way we win games, then so be it.
Then so be it. Yeah.
As long as we're winning them.
But that's all I got. So why don't you take us home, Lance?
I don't want to be a negative Nancy or nothing like that, but I would love to see a little bit more out of this offense. I get so frustrated. I mean, I love what we're doing on offense compared to what we were doing on offense the last few seasons. But I get so frustrated when we get a good drive going only to see us stall out at midfield. It is so frustrating. You can't do that. Like, I can understand, like, you get the ball and I don't like this either, but you know, you run 3 plays and then you punt it away. But when you get a drive going, but then it stalls out at midfield after you look pretty good to start out, it's almost worse.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
So, like I said, not to be a bah humbugger or whatever, but I'd like to see more out of this offense, and I believe rightfully so. I believe I should expect to see more out of this offense. We should be scoring every time we touch the ball, whether that be 3 points on the lighter side of things or 6 points. We should be getting something. This offense is too good to be punting so many times in the game.
Yeah.
So with that being said, let's go out there and kick Green Bay's ass, and we'll see you next week for 92.
See you guys. Good weekend.